Oh, that hurts. Okay. Happy New Year. Okay.
Happy
Happy New
New
Year.
I gotta
Year!
say this
Woo!
deep.
Happy New Year.
Okay. I'm gonna put on my hat that I just got today. Okay, it has been a while, and boy, do we have a lot to talk about.
About
Holy,
what?
yeah, yeah. I don't
Right?
know. It's a really slow thing. So we were off last week, and but before that, um, the Colts game happened, and that was I basically the end of the low point of the season. They lost 30-13 to the Colts. It looked horrible. Mitch played and it was horrible. They pull Mitch, and in the last couple minutes they put in Mason Rudolph because I think Tomlin knew he's going to Mason Rudolph for the next game. So
Mm-hmm.
Mason Rudolph gets his chance against Cincinnati, and that is wild that he has come to that point where he wasn't even. I mean, the third string, the can't even think about it. Now he's getting his starts. Okay, he hasn't started in what, 2-3 years. What's he gonna do? He's probably gonna suck, right? He looks awesome against the Bengals. Amazing. It was beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then he gets another start against the Seahawks, and he looks awesome. And now they've put up more than 30 points every single time, or 30 points or more every the past two games with Mason Rudolph.
Mm-hmm.
And wow, I just want to I love this story so much, and I think I want to go back to the end of the Bengals game. They were interviewing Mason, and he was just saying, thank the Lord, thank Jesus, whatever, blah, 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 your standard, things he said. And I think it was Alex Highsmith that also was interviewed with him. And instead of Alex Highsmith, who had a great game, talking about himself or the defense or the team or which, any of those things he could talk about, he went out of his way to talk about Mason Rudolph, about
Mm-hmm.
how happy they are for him, and how just so happy they are that Mason Rudolph could have easily just checked out. He could have easily
Right.
said,
Oh yeah.
"Screw this. Obviously, I know what you think about me. Screw
Mm-hmm.
this. I'm just gonna collect a paycheck, you know, just sit on my chair and do nothing." And you could tell he
Right.
put the work in. You could tell.
Yeah.
Let,
Yeah.
let's just talk about Mason. I just want to talk about how this great story. I don't. Who wants to
Yeah.
start?
I
Yeah.
did
Well,
not have
it's
him saving the
amazing.
season on my 2023 bingo
Oh
card.
my
Like, not at
God.
all.
Oh my
No,
God.
nobody did. Nobody did. Yeah,
Yeah.
You
I
know,
just I think it's amazing the amount of work, like how he's developed without playing. You know what I mean? Like Kenny's been playing and he hasn't been developing well. Mason hasn't been playing and he's developed. I mean, he has a lot more years under his belt than Kenny does, but he's been doing it
But we've
all
never seen
on
this before.
right.
We
Yeah,
didn't see this
exactly.
2 years ago when he played for Ben
No.
when Ben had COVID.
Mm-mm. Nope.
Right, and he had
No.
the battle between
No.
him and Duck, and both of them never really looked great. And I think it's
Mm-hmm.
a mix of both. It's a feel good story, and it's a bit of circumstance and drama, right? I mean, anytime a third string quarterback works their way up on almost any team and they win with him, that's a great
Mm-hmm.
story. You throw in the
Mm-hmm.
fact that he passes a $10 million backup and kind of saves the day there. Kenny's hurt. They go to him, they start winning, and he starts doing a lot of the things that we wanted Kenny to do, right? And it's not like he's Joe, you said he played great. He did play great, but I mean, last week he was 18 of 24, 274 yards, 12.6 yards, no touchdowns, but that's kind of thing you really want out of a backup quarterback or even out of what we were hoping to get out of Kenny Pickett. So,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, and they've scored 30 points in back-to-back weeks, something we haven't never thought we'd see again, and we thought we'll have to wait till next year. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so now all of a sudden, what he's also brought is a quarterback controversy that I guarantee you Mike Tomlin didn't want to be in week 17
Yeah.
in. And here we are, the four of us talking about it's fun to talk about now. I think the more interesting story is what happens after this. Whether they win or lose against the Ravens, the story is now
Mm-hmm.
what? Are they going to bring in Kyler
Right.
Murray? Are they going to bring in Fields? Are they keeping Rudolph? Are they keeping Kenny? I mean, it's a lot
Mm-hmm.
of fun. It's just
Mm-hmm.
it's and the drama we were talking about that earlier on social media. It's like the Kenny Pickett haters love it, the Kenny Pickett
Mm-hmm.
lovers hate it.
Mhm.
I think the four of us are all kind of like in between, like, well, I think all of
Right.
us are not big Mitch Trubisky fans. It's like, okay.
No, I think we all can agree on that.
We
No,
could
no
all
doubt.
unite in that.
Yeah.
All in
Right.
all, the
I've
drama-
always said about Mason that, all these people hate him so much. I don't hate the guy. Do you know what I mean? This is
Mhm.
not personal. This is football. I want to win. I do not care who gets us there. If Barney the Purple Dinosaur goes out and leads us down the field to win games and gets us to the postseason, then yay, he's our quarterback. I don't care how much the person costs. I don't care what draft pick they are. Like, I just want to win. Do you know what I mean? And so if
Yeah.
that's Mason and he's the best person, great. I think in the past he's shown he's not that person, and
Mhm.
I think not utilizing him more was justified. But I think now
Mhm.
we are, like Darren said, in a tough situation with Pickett, and what happens with him. How do you walk away from your first round draft pick and just
Right.
chalk him up as a bust at the end of year 2? Like,
Well,
Yeah. Yeah.
let's go back to Mason's career. He starts out, was it second round draft pick or third? I
Third.
forget.
Third.
Third round
Third.
draft pick
Oklahoma
with the
State.
first round grade, which is what is always said about
Right.
him. And he comes in and Ben is angry. Why did you draft him? I'm only a guy in my mid 30s that's about to, at the end of my career. How dare you try to pick my successor?
with 150 injuries or whatever.
Right,
Right.
right.
Yeah,
How dare
yeah.
you?
Right. When they could have used an offensive lineman in that area.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
would have been that
Mhm.
would have been nice. But they thought they had a first round guy, so it's like, okay, cool. Here we go. And when he does play, when Ben does get injured and he does play, it's not great. He got sat for Duck, but I mean he also had some good games too. But he had that time where he got knocked out in the Ravens game. And he was made to look like an idiot because
Yeah.
they took off his face mask. He looked like an extra from Spaceballs.
Right.
They put him on the cart and the cart doesn't work, and it's just all comical and stupid. Then the whole
Yeah.
Myles Garrett thing happened.
Mhm.
And he gets bopped in the head with the helmet, and then a couple days later he's accused of being a racist. So now the whole
Right.
country thinks he's a racist. So there's
Yeah.
that. Then he fights with Duck. He battles with Duck and he gets pulled for Duck, and then he comes back into the game, and I think it was like one of the last games of the season against the Jets, and he actually looked good, but then he breaks his collarbone. So then
Right.
it's done. And then really the last time he got to play was that game someone mentioned against Detroit where he looked horrible. And that was the COVID year. And I think that was a game where Ben was supposed to play. He was practicing all week, and then the night before they're
The
like,
night before, yeah.
yo, you got COVID. You're not playing. Mason's playing.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing Mason got in there with like no practice time, no preparation, nothing. And he looked horrible. And I think that game basically set the organization to say, this isn't our guy. This guy. Because I mean, Tomlin went out of his way to say, Tomlin went on his way to say in the next press conference that Mason sucked. So I think and Tomlin never does that, anything like that. He never trashes a quarterback. So that wasn't good. But then that's it. And then basically the organization soured on him. And so did the rest of the league. Nobody else wanted him, and he comes back.
No.
He comes back, and they said there's a competition, and really there wasn't. Obviously they were going to give it to first they gave it to Mitch, and then give it to Kenny. Mason never had a chance, but still Mason never he never pouted, he never complained. He just put in the work, and you could tell that now he is doing something that we haven't seen for 2 years now. He is running a functional offense. And it's so simple.
Yeah.
It's so simple. This is all we wanted all along. Find the open guy. That's it.
Right. Yeah.
Hit the open guy, and then
Yeah.
if you could run, and if not, if something's open, just take what the defense gives you. That's all we wanted.
Yeah. He looks strong in the pocket. He looks accurate when he's throwing passes. All of this, opens up the run game. I mean, 300 yards and 4 or 5 touchdowns over the last 2 games. I mean, it's pretty amazing. It really is, because it's like in the offensive line, it seems like everybody is like that Mason's brought a spark to this team. You know what I mean? Like Kenny was starting to play a little bit better. Not anything like last year, but he was starting to come together, and then the whole injury thing. But yeah, Mason Rudolph, he's brought that spark to the offense. You know what I mean? That was lacking with both Kenny and Mitch. I was the first to say they're gonna bring in Mason. How is he going to do anything different than these other two quarterbacks? You know what I mean? Because I thought it was a systematic issue, and there's definitely still some, systematic issues. But the fact that like Mason's come in and he's looked confident and he looks like a leader, he looks like a quarterback, is pretty amazing considering how little actual in-game experience he's had over the past 5 years.
And maybe that's it. Maybe there's not a lot of pressure on him, coming in. And
Mhm.
I mean, you think about it, the third string quarterback's probably one of the best jobs in the country.
Yeah.
Unless things go really bad, you're probably not seeing a lot of playing time. Your job's to help call plays, help warm up the quarterback, help warm up the receivers and tight ends, do some run throughs, and that's it. And you get paid your millions. And if you stay long enough, you get a nice NFL pension, and you're pretty much set. And here he is thrust in the spotlight. And I think one of us, maybe it was me, maybe it was Allison, I don't know, said in the beginning of the year, if we get to Mason Rudolph, we're in trouble. Well, we are in trouble.
Right.
We're dangerous in the playoffs. Probably are not going to make the playoffs. But again, then you have to wonder too. I am very curious if he goes in. I think what's going to happen. I think they'll lose Sunday. I think the Ravens will play their players. The Ravens are the hottest team in the NFL right now. They're the best team in the NFL right now. I don't think we're going to beat them. What happens after that? I mean, if they don't bring anybody in, you now have a quarterback controversy, and it's going to stew for the next 5.5 months. If you bring in a Fields, or if you bring in Kyler Murray, which is kind of the rumor mill right now, that'll make it a lot more interesting. But if you don't, now it's even more interesting, right? And intriguing. It's just who Mason Rudolph finished. What if they do score 28 points in a losing effort? Hey, we scored 28 points, still look good. We lost, but they're the football, but we still were competitive. Now you're running Mason Rudolph on 3-game running streak. Kenny Pickett. Again, I to your point, LeeAnn, there's so many people that just outright hate the guy. I don't get that. I don't. I would still think Kenny Pickett's the guy going into next year. But
and
Mitch Trubisky, sorry, Mitch.
No,
I don't think you're gonna like what's gonna happen.
It's one thing we could all agree on. He unites us in one thing. We all hate Mitch Trubisky. Even the Steelers, even Tomlin hates the guy professionally. But it's going to be real interesting what happens.
Ben Roethlisberger said on his podcast this past weekend during the game that he doesn't care what happens with this next game. The Steelers will 100% go with Kenny Pickett to start the 2024 season because they will never admit that they failed at picking the first round draft pick. Do you know what I mean?
No.
So to bench him or to call him a bust or to put somebody else in front of him is to admit some sort of failure, and the Steelers organization won't do that. So he said all this speculation about them bringing in somebody else or drafting a quarterback, he said it's not happening.
No, I agree. They're going to ride him into the ground, and that's it.
It's not going to happen. I mean, the Bears are now in a very interesting position, right? They own the first overall pick. I mean, how bad is it to be a Carolina Panther fan? You suck. Yeah. There's no way to address that in the first round come April. You don't have a pick. Your owner's throwing drinks on fans. It's just not good in Charlotte right now. Yeah. And, I mean, there's no means to an end. And the Bears are sitting there, and Fields has actually looked pretty decent in the second half of the season. Do they keep him? If they offer him up, there's probably a lot of teams that will do anything for that first spot. Or they trade him to whoever, and they go for, I think Penix will be, especially after this past weekend, I think he's going to be the number 1 overall pick, or people will be vying to get that pick. And the Steelers are kind of in that same position in a different way with everything that's going on. And so, if they don't bring anybody in, to your point, Joe and LeeAnn, if they don't bring him in, I think you still are going to have a controversy going into training camp. And that's going to be perpetuated by fans, social media, whatever. And I think you're right, LeeAnn. I think Ben's right through what you're saying. I think Kenny's still the guy. That's who they want. They want to give him a shot. New offensive coordinator, new whatever. And he probably and he deserves it. But
Yeah.
there's going to be a lot of the Kenny haters saying, nope, Mason. And the
Right.
booing,
Yeah, I
right?
think
The booing has just been, you're going to know.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I feel like the competition, I feel like I want to say I want there to be, but I also feel like there's got to be a true competition. Like you said, Kenny's rookie year, there was a competition, and that was, it was just smoke and mirrors or whatever. It was always Mitch's job to begin with. But there's nothing that lights a fire under a quarterback's ass than true competition. Like competition that actually fires you up, that gets you motivated to, hey, I don't want to lose my job to this guy. And Trubisky never had that his first year, with Kenny. So, maybe that'll be the thing that gets Kenny finally, gets him straight. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly what's going on with him. Everybody thought he was going to be improved, or at least most people thought he was going to be improved this season. He's taken steps back, and he just makes you
we
wonder what's
all
going on.
blamed Matt Canada.
Right. Yeah.
And it turns out maybe it wasn't Matt Canada. Maybe it was, but maybe it wasn't, because this is basically still the Matt Canada offense. But that's what we've been screaming at for 2 years now with Mitch and Kenny. It's like, dude, there's open receivers. Just hit the open receiver. And the thing about the thing that Mason is doing that's different from Kenny and Mitch is he will stay in the pocket and he'll find the open guy. He actually reads the field. He actually goes through progressions. Kenny, every single time he's scared, he panics. And he does that spin move right into the arms of a thing. I think the guy needs hugs. I think he has marital problems because he wants to be hugged. He wants to be sacked.
He needs hugged.
Right.
And another
Rudolph
thing,
and Pickett are running the same offense, though. They're running the same offense. It's not like it's a different system for Rudolph, and he's finding ways to be successful with it. So maybe he's not so skittish. Maybe he's reads the field better because he's been around longer, whatever it is. Do you know what I mean? But it's still the same offense. And we really only saw Pickett play one game without Canada at the helm, and he run it. People called it like the best game of his career, and thought he was like trending upward, and then he got hurt. So I do feel like the Kenny Pickett apologists all have this like clause, like, well, we didn't really get to see him without Canada because it was just that one game, and that's going to be like this excuse storyline going forward.
Right.
Yeah, but sorry, go ahead, Darren.
Oh, thanks. No, and if you're picking through what you're seeing, like the real journalists who are actually breaking stuff down, like LeeAnn just said, like, I think Pomp, a couple other guys were posting the pass distribution chart, right? You're seeing like where he was throwing versus Kenny. Now that's something that does interest me because it's saying, okay, for some reason, Mason's picking that up better right now. Not this, not because Kenny Pickett sucks. It's because maybe he needs this or that to get to that and have that. But that I find interesting. But the other thing that's a part B to the story too, and I hate to bring it up, Joe, or hate to harp on it, but in what universe did Tomlin and his staff think that Trubisky was the better guy to start over Rudolph? Because if they did start Rudolph in the games in which Mitch started, hell, we're probably in the playoffs going into this weekend, probably last in a wild card, but we're probably sitting at 10-5. And that part gets me. So what are you seeing out there? And if you can't see that, are you not able to help see Kenny Pickett, see what he needs to see? And now you're finally getting there. It's took you week 17 to get there. So Mason Rudolph's seeing it. And
they keep, the national media keeps saying how wonderful Tomlin is. Oh, he's overcoming all these things. He created these obstacles. Okay. He's overcoming things that the problems that he created himself. If they had, Mason start against Indianapolis, they win that game and they're in the playoffs easily.
Yeah, I guess they probably would be. And I think that's the other point too. You look, and it's where the staff may be failing these quarterbacks. It's scheming, right? Like again, we talked about this, I think 3 weeks ago. There's a guy who just 2 months ago was sitting on his couch doing nothing, and now he's starting for the Browns and he's breaking records. He's already, I think, thrown more touchdowns than Baker Mayfield did at this part. And I mean, Joe Flacco is leading probably the second or third hottest team in the AFC into the playoffs right now. And yet we aren't able to put that together, whether it's Kenny Pickett, whether it's Mitch Trubisky, whether it's Mason Rudolph, whoever the hell it is, we seem to fumble around ourselves and we finally kind of get to it. And that's the kind of thing that, I don't know why Mason is able to have a better pass rating, see the field better, get to the open receivers better, but he is. And to someone's point, I mean, as you or LeeAnn or Allison, this is the same guy 2 years ago who, we're going to start Mason. Now we're going to start Duck. No, we're going to start Mason.
Right.
All respect due to Doug Hodges. He was not good.
No.
I mean, not good at all. And you lose to Duck Hodges, you lose
Yeah.
So, and that's, I think back to what you said, Joe, starting on this whole thing is, I just don't think he had the pressure on himself. He just sat there, third string QB. He can probably see this drama building. Kenny's pissed off. Mitch isn't well liked. It's not going well. I might get a shot. I'm just going to hold back, do my thing. And if I get my thing, I'm just going to do it. That's what he's doing.
The controversy right now is, did Kenny refuse to be a backup? I don't want to get into the Pittsburgh media wars. I'll remain Switzerland on that one. But when they did ask Kenny last week, it said, "Hey, did you learn anything while being on the bench?" He's like, "Nope." That was a little petulant. Like, that was a little like I'm mad I'm not the starter, so I'm gonna be a baby. That was just one thing, but still, maybe there is something there.
It was the tone too, like the tone he used. Like he didn't look like he wanted to be talking to the media when he was talking to the media at that point, and he looked like he was.
How do you just not lie, even if that's true? Like, how are you not grown enough to just lie and be like,
just give some stupid cliche?
Right, something, he did such a good job and blah, blah, blah. I mean, just something. Like, come on, man. Grow up.
Yeah, make something up, man. Make something up. That's the second year guy in him, you know what I mean? Like,
it is. He's young.
You'd think he would be smart enough quick enough on his feet, but we already know he's not.
So, okay, here's a scenario. What if they do make the playoffs? What if Mason has a great game? They beat the Ravens, which I think is a possibility, because I don't know if I think the Ravens are going to sit Lamar at the very least. Obviously, they can't sit everybody, but I think they'll at least sit Lamar. And I think their chances are pretty good against what's that.
I think they'll treat it like a preseason game. Maybe play Lamar for a couple of series or a quarter or something like that. Tell him throw the ball, don't run. The last thing he needs is to get like tackled by TJ Watt and have his leg broken or something. So I think they'll try to be cautious with him, but they'd be foolish to start him and chance their postseason run. You know what I mean? Injuries happen all the time. Injuries to Lamar happen a lot. So why would you chance it if you don't have to? I mean, I get pride, and I heard Lamar said like the Steelers are a thorn in his side, that he sat 1 year and he wasn't ready in the playoffs and they lost to the Titans or whoever it was. And so now it like sticks in him like it's like a sore spot, that he doesn't play. And I get the competitiveness. The guy's a competitive dude. I mean, I don't blame him for wanting to play, but you got to be smart. I think he'll play a little. I don't think he'll play the whole game.
I agree. I think he plays maybe the first half or something like that, unless, no, all that's true. But, and the other thing too, that you guys, I guess you can see it on a stat sheet and you can't, is it does seem, since Mason's took over the offense, that everybody's responded. I mean, look what's been going on with George Pickens, who we all were hating on. I mean, total 180. And it seems
blocked.
Like
he blocked on that Jalen Warren touchdown.
The running backs are running with angry. Broderick Jones almost killed a guy 3 times. I mean, he was blocking down. He was killing people. And it just
Broderick Jones angry is Godzilla. There's no stopping
he picked
the
that
dude.
One guy up and threw him. It was unbelievable.
And it's just
unbelievable.
And I think that's something that all of us can say as fans, and how we cover the team and whatnot. And it's noticeable. They are responding and to that. And I'm not Kenny Pickett lovers. I'm not saying that Kenny doesn't do that. It just seems like that's another part to what Joe's saying. And if they do somehow go in here and win and somehow make the playoffs, then again, after the buzzer sounds on Saturday, it's really going to be interesting to see what happens, because whether Mike Tomlin likes it or not, he has a quarterback controversy on his hands.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
everyone is happy because what's that saying? When everybody eats, everyone's happy.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
Pickens is getting his receptions and his yards. Deontay is getting his receptions. Najee and Jalen Warren are destroying people, and they're opening up
Darnell
holes.
Washington too.
What?
Yeah,
Yeah,
him
Yeah.
too.
all working. This is all we
Mute.
wanted all year. You get the passing game going, which gets the running game going. You have long drives, which keeps the defense off the field, that keeps them fresh. So that when they are out there, they do well. It's all complementary football, and it's all working perfectly. And that's why everybody's happy now. And that's why everybody was angry, a month ago, because it wasn't working at all, and nobody was getting anything.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think too, when you look back at like what was happening at the beginning of this season, and this isn't a knock on Kenny Pickett, I think it's just the reality of the situation that we're in. Everybody on that offense in a leadership position is so young. I feel like they were really lacking like somebody to like grab them by the face mask and like shake life into them.
An adult in
you
the
know,
room.
Mason is right. Mason has been with the team for a long time, and maybe, now he's empowered to step into this leadership role. So maybe that is helping to bring these guys together. He understands that Steeler way, and he could pull these guys together and kind of be that veteran presence that they were missing. Joe was a man of many hats.
Yeah.
Yes,
I
yes.
got a lot of costumes going
It's
on.
fair enough.
A lot of hats.
But let's say they do make the playoffs
Mhm.
and they have this. Now, here's the thing. We could say, is Mason, the long-term answer, or is he Tommy DeVito? Tommy DeVito had
Right,
2 or 3
yeah.
good games, and then that's what these backups do. They're in there for a short time, and if you need them for 2 or 3 games, okay, fine. But when you need them anything longer than that, their expiration date comes up, and then they're no good. So is Mason just
Right.
a short-term thing? Either way, here's the thing. Well, first of all, we have to wonder, is Mason gonna want to come back next year?
Yeah, that's the question, right? I mean, he
It
may
really
want to go
is.
somewhere where he has an opportunity, especially if he ends up beating Baltimore. He's never going to go somewhere and be like the clear-cut number one
No.
starter guy. He's going to have to go in and
Well, unless he
compete.
goes Carolina.
But it's like, does he want to compete with the club that maybe treats him better than the Steelers have in the past? Or is he going to want to stay? I mean, he's got to be comfortable in Pittsburgh. He's been there for a long time. You know what I mean? It's one of those things where, they may have to, pay him some money, to be
Give him Mitch's money.
Right. Well, yeah.
100%.
Of course.
Hey, Mason, you want to make $10 million a year? Here you go.
Right, yeah.
He said
Yeah.
last week after the game when they interviewed him, he's like, here I am, like winning this game, and I wasn't sure if I was going to be selling insurance at the
Yeah.
end of this season.
Right.
And I was
Yeah.
like, that's crazy. You know
That's
what I
the
mean?
thing.
Like that was his reality.
That game just changed his life.
Totally.
Now
Yeah.
he could be in the NFL for the next 5-10 years and make, $5-10 million a year for the next 5-10 years.
I think that's what people don't realize. He's competing not just for the Steelers, but also for his job, for his resume,
yeah,
for his
definitely.
next paycheck.
Nobody wanted
all of
him.
those things.
Nobody
No one.
wanted him. Now he has on tape that he's a good quarterback
Yeah.
and can win games. He's set.
Yeah. Yeah. He probably went home and was like looking in the mirror, you were awesome. You know what I mean? Because he's not gonna he's not a boss. At least he doesn't seem like the kind of guy to be like, yeah, man.
No.
He easily could have said, I told you
Right,
all.
exactly.
All of you doubted me, and I told you. And then he didn't. He was totally humble.
Right. Yeah, but he did it at home. Once he went home, he did that, right? He put
Yeah,
on his
I hope
overalls
so.
and he got
I
out his
hope so.
pineapple and he started talking about how awesome he is.
Or like Stuart Smalley, doggone it.
Yes,
you're good
people
enough,
love
you're
you.
smart enough, people like you.
People like me.
Yes,
Well,
exactly.
I mean, that was the other thing. It's like, actually, people actually like me now. Yay.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Man, this league, these fans, I don't know. I would never want to be in any, I mean, I'd want to be making their money, but there's no way.
It's like Darren said.
Cruel.
When
Joe,
you're
was
third
that you?
string.
Was that you, Joe? I'm sorry, that tweeted about, weren't they chanting Mason Rudolph at one point? And the fans were chanting Mason Rudolph, and Kenny Pickett looked pissed. I think you tweeted that, Joe.
That was funny. That was from the fake KDKA news accounts.
Yeah.
They said Kenny under brothers like Kenny Pickett.
Yeah, right. I know, but that's the thing. It's like, it's really weird. It's just like you have and the fans have been more, just full of vitriol and just not. They're gonna not hesitate in week 1 next week or next year, if this were the case. So if Mason does come back and they start Kenny Pickett, the Mason Rudolph chance will start early.
Well, here's the thing. So let's say he does play well against Baltimore, whether they win or make the playoffs or not. And let's say he does come back, and let's say your quarterbacks are Kenny, Mason, and whoever, rookie, whoever it is. And they'll say, we're going to have a competition. And they already know that Kenny's going to win that competition. Because like you said, and like what Ben Roethlisberger said, they're not going to admit they were wrong. So they're going to make Kenny win. But what if Kenny sucks? People are going to be chanting like that crazy, Mason, Rudolph. And even if Kenny does win, and even if Kenny does win the job and he does play, hey, the dude's fragile. The dude gets hurt a lot. So so Mason as the primary backup is in this scenario, if he stays with the team, either way he's going to play a lot because Kenny just gets. I don't know. I mean, is he? I don't know if he's too fragile to be in the NFL. I don't know because he does. Look at all his injuries.
Yeah. I mean, that's one reason right there to draft it. I feel like they have to draft a quarterback mid to late round because you see all these guys come in this year, especially, you know what I mean? And they've come in and they've played well and they've all been like, they haven't been high draft picks, right? So you kind of have to I feel like you got to take a flyer on somebody because you never know these days, right? You never know who's going to end up being the next Brock Purdy, right? So it's like, and it does have a lot to do with what Joe said. It's not so much that we're not sure what we have from him yet, which we don't. But it's the injury factor. I mean, he's had like a bunch of concussions and he's always injured, and you've got to have a solid backup, especially these days. You know what I mean?
And I think the NFL is so different than college. I don't know that I think that Penix necessarily is like a lock to come in and light the NFL on fire. It's very different system than what he's playing right now.
The dude is old and he's had a lot of injuries himself. So yeah, Penix looks great, but and you know how it's going to go. They're not going to have a shot at Penix. They're not going to have a shot at the top 5.
No, but I just say that as example. Like even if you had a shot at him, is that your best bet? Because sometimes I think you're better off looking for the sturdier guy that comes a little bit later that maybe needs to develop a little
or
bit.
The old guy.
Work him in your system or the old guy.
Yeah. The old guy. I mean, Joe Flacco is lighting it up because for
that
one
was
thing,
genius. I hate that the Browns
did it. For one thing, the Browns have a good offensive line, so they're giving him protection for the most part. But that's all it is. It's just intelligence because he's done it before. It's maybe it's that simple. Maybe you just need the experience.
Yeah.
Although the experience didn't help Mitch much, but anyway.
Right.
Maybe you show some loyalty to Kenny Pickett too, and you build an offensive line around him. You get a better center. You definitely need a better center because
we have to have a better center.
Better center,
if
better
we don't
tackle.
address center, I'm going to riot. I mean, that guy is so bad. He cannot snap a football to save his life. Like I could go out there and snap better than him.
You have one job, bro. Snap the ball.
Freaking job. Snap the ball, and he can't do it. And how do you not have him standing there at practice like you can't go home until you snap the ball 7,000 times today correctly?
Don't make me turn the car around.
Right.
You can't go to Isley's until you figure out how to.
Right.
Yeah.
No Eaton Park for you. Snap the ball. Yeah, I mean, come
on.
I mean,
and that's the other thing that I think that the people who really do support Kenny Pickett are saying is that you still haven't given a kid a chance, and some people are like, well, what the hell? It's 3 years. You do. But we live in a society today where patience isn't so much of a virtue as it used to be.
But both things can be true. That's what I keep telling people, that all the things can all be true. Like Mason could be successful. Kenny didn't really get a chance. Matt Canada hurt him. Kenny has issues reading the field. All of those factors can be true at the same time. It doesn't have to be just the one that fits somebody's narrative.
And the Steelers have been through this before, believe it or not. All of our grandfathers and some of our dads, when Terry Bradshaw didn't exactly just come in, start and ride off in the sunset. There was Jefferson
3-4 years.
There was Terry Hanratty. There was that was almost not exactly, but a very similar scenario to what we're looking at now. Until they finally realized, you know what?
They constantly
Bradshaw,
benched.
he's the guy.
There you go.
He's the guy, the Mad
And
Baller.
trashed him. Just
Von
totally
Baller.
I
trashed him.
love,
Oh,
I
yeah.
love that Funko. The Funko,
Yeah.
even the Funko doesn't have hair on poor
Right.
Terry Bradshaw. My goodness.
That's right.
Um,
But
but and the thing is, and now we're saying, oh, look at Mason. He can see the field and he sees it like that. Mason in 2019 was Kenny Pickett now.
Yeah.
There's a reason he got benched is because he wasn't running the offense. He wasn't making the
yeah.
progressions.
He couldn't hit a donkey in
Mhm.
the ass with a tennis racket.
Yeah.
I mean, it was awful. And
Yeah.
and I mean, that's what I'm sitting there watching, like, yeah, it's kind of fun. But I remember when
Yeah.
this guy wasn't
Mhm.
that good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
We'll see. And don't forget, there's going to be a new offensive coordinator, and who knows what
Right.
they want.
Who knows who that's going to be?
And there
Who
could-
knows who that's going to be?
I doubt it, but there
Man.
could be a new head coach. I mean, so that's why I said it could be a really wacko, crazy
It's
offseason.
possible. It's possible. Anything's possible.
I just,
Yeah.
as long as they just need to hire from the outside.
Oh my
already.
God. Do
Hire
not
somebody
hire.
with winning experience who knows what he's doing in the NFL. Just do it.
It's going to
Do
be the
it.
hot dog guy. It's going to be the hot dog vendor. It's going to be the person who cleans up all like someone
It's going to be
on the
that
housekeeping
equipment
staff or something.
manager that was throwing the tennis balls to Deontay Johnson. They're going to be like, that's our
Right.
guy.
It's going to be
That's our guy.
That's the new OC.
Yeah. Let's talk playoff scenarios because I mean
Playoffs.
I've playoffs.
What are those?
They it depends on who you look at and who you talk to. They have either an okay chance or a good chance to win. Basically, if they win, Buffalo loses, they're in.
Mhm.
Or if
Yeah.
Jacksonville loses, they're in.
Mhm.
Or if
Mhm.
Houston and Indianapolis tie, they're in. Whatever. But
The
even if
possibility.
Yeah.
even if they lose, they could, if Denver wins and Jacksonville
Right.
loses and Houston and Indianapolis don't tie,
Yeah,
they still
right.
sneak it in. So
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's
it's
still a
crazy.
scenario where if they don't beat the Ravens that they could squeak in, but it's
Yeah.
like,
yeah,
nobody, it's just really difficult. And I've said this a bunch of times. I just don't want to see them in the playoffs. I just don't.
You
Yeah,
wanna
I
see
feel
the
Because
like
they're just
right
not,
now?
we know what's going to happen. We know what's
Are
going to
you
happen.
sure? Are you sure
Am I
about
sure?
that? You have a Steelers offense that's playing well and a defense that's playing well. They could beat anybody. I think they could beat any team. I think they could beat any team. I think they could go into Kansas City. Kansas City sucks this year. I'm sorry.
Kansas City does
They're
suck.
bad.
I'm
You're
sorry.
right.
The only
They're
way
kinda
they would
bad.
lose, the only way
They're
they would
kinda
lose
bad.
at
Love to
Kansas
see
City is if Taylor Swift goes out there and interferes with the game or something like that.
Shake it
Right.
off.
Right.
They could beat Miami. They could beat Buffalo. They could beat anybody right now. Basically, right now, the AFC is a whole bunch of suck. And the only good
It's a
team
mess.
is the Ravens. And the Steelers have beat
Yeah.
the Ravens, I think, 6 out of the last 7 times. So
I
I
think the Browns
really
are-
like. Oh, I would
Browns will
love
see
to
it.
see. Oh, give me Browns. Give me Steelers at Browns again, round 3. Let's go. Let's go. Joe Flacco is Cinderella, and at some point, the dude's going to hit midnight. You watch. He is going to. It's a wonderful story. It's a beautiful, feel-good story. The guy's 79 years old. He is going to break
Yeah.
down at some point.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
It's a beautiful story. It's a wonderful story. Good for you, Cleveland Browns. You made them. You actually have a better record than the Steelers for 1 year out of the last 37. Yay!
Right.
Good for you.
I'm not sure how the brackets are shaping up. Could you imagine a Ravens Browns AFC title game? Like, oh,
Ben
Joe
Roethlisberger
Flacco.
said that he can't wait. He hopes that happens, and he hopes Flacco goes into Baltimore and beats the crap out
oh,
of
that
him
would be
at
that
home.
would be
That
fun.
would be
That would
great.
be amazing. That would be
awesome.
amazing. I
That
would
would be
love
fun.
that.
I would cheer for the Browns for that.
I don't know, Joe. I think the Bills have been fairly hot too lately. I mean, they seem to found their defense again, and Josh Allen has got bigger balls than I think any guy I've ever seen play football. I mean, he's got 15 rushing touchdowns this year,
Mhm.
and he doesn't slide. It's just I don't. I think it's a tall order, Joe. I get where you're coming from, and maybe they could be like the '89 Steelers and shock some people and. I don't know, but it's a tall order. I think Jacksonville's going to cream Tennessee because Jacksonville's fighting for a seed, I believe, too. So if they beat
Mhm.
Tennessee, there's a good chance they can walk into a bye, maybe clinch a second. So they have a lot to play for, and that Titans team's been one of the worst teams in the last month. So I think that's what's our detriment there.
But
and we lost to Jacksonville, of course.
It's probably Vrabel's last game as a coach. It's Derrick Henry's last game with them. It's Tannehill's last game with them. So either they just decide to go out on a bang. I don't know.
Yeah,
I think
right,
I think
yeah.
Tennessee has a good chance, and Jacksonville's not been playing well lately.
Yeah.
That's true.
So we
Tennessee's
will
always
see.
unpredictable.
They are, yeah.
I think they got a
yeah.
real
You know,
shot at beating them.
It's one of those things, like those well-coached teams, they always have a chance. You know, Belichick, for Tomlin in there, Mike Vrabel, the Rams, the well-coached teams, they always have a chance. And so I think the Titans will be okay, but we'll see. Okay. We're good. We're good now. Who's barking?
We are.
Bentley.
That's me.
I was gonna say it's
Oh,
Bentley.
Bentley.
Gotta be Bentley.
It's Bentley.
I was saying it's me.
How does Bentley how does Bentley feel about the Steelers' playoff chances? That's
Bentley feels
Bentley's
very
barking
good
about.
about it. That's what he's barking about. Let me in. Yeah, he feels very good about it. He's got his jersey just in case we need him to suit up. He's ready to go.
Do you really have a jersey for your dog?
Oh yeah, both Penguins and Steelers.
Oh, that's
Nice.
amazing. That's
Is
amazing.
it a player jersey or is it just like
No,
like
just
a
a
number?
jersey.
Okay.
Yeah, just a
Okay.
number, random.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
He
He's been
snap the
practicing
ball?
snapping the ball. That's what we're working on right now with his little tiny short stubby legs. He's won't clear his stomach is the problem, but we're trying.
Yeah, but it does a better job than the current center.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Lord Bentley starting for
Right.
Mason Cole.
That's
I can see
right.
He
it
could
now.
do it.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right. All right, guys. Thank you very much. Happy New Year.
Thanks, Joe. Happy
Yes.
New Year, everyone.
Hope
Happy
it's
New
a
Year,
good
guys.
year.
Yep.
All
Ladies,
right.
guys, everybody's.
We'll see you.
Yep.
Yes.